E Quadrant, E Quadrant, and E Quadrant once again. What's up, 23% Nation? Your man, Coach D, is excited tonight. Now, while you may be asking, guys, remember, we're talking about money. We're talking about how to become wealthy. So, without any further delay, I want to welcome you to reason number 3 for 10 reasons why you are not wealthy yet. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and dive right on into reason number 3. Okay, so here's the problem. All right, guys, is that you, or I can use the word we, reside in the E quadrant. Now, I know 23% Nation, a lot of you are out there wondering what in the world is the E Quadrant? What is it all about? I've never heard of it before. Coach D, explain yourself. Well, guys, listen up. I want to introduce you tonight to a very special gentleman. His name happens to be Mr. Robert Kiyosaki. Now, this guy is amazing. He's a big-time entrepreneur, big-time investor, big-time author, Japanese American, originally from the state of Hawaii. And he has written a series of books entitled Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And he is all about elevating our financial education, right? So check this out. He wrote a book in his series of books entitled The Cashflow Quadrant, which basically talks about how people are divided in the world of business, okay? So when we talk about the E quadrant, really the E quadrant is one of 4 quadrants that most people are in some way, shape, or form divided into. So there is a little bit of an explanation about the E quadrant. Now, in a little while, I'm going to go into a lot more depth about the E quadrant, why it's a problem, but more importantly, guys, we're going to focus on the solution. So once again, the problem is we reside in the E quadrant. All right. So at this point in time, I want to give you a little more information about the cash flow quadrant. So guys, here it is. As you can see, it's a square divided into 4 parts, okay? Now each part represents a quadrant. And so you see the letters E, S, B, and I. Well, the letter E stands for employee. The letter S can stand for several things. It could mean specialist, it could mean self-employed, or it could mean small business. The letter B stands for big business, and the letter I stands for investor. Now, for tonight's discussion, we are only going to focus on one quadrant, which happens to be the E quadrant, which means we're going to talk about being an employee. I hope you got that. Great, moving forward. All right, so let's now dive into what the E quadrant is all about. Guys, let's quickly review. E means employee. So when you are an employee, basically what that means is that you have a job, okay? Now let's take Coach D for instance. Coach D is a college professor. So even though I may love my being a professor, technically I have a job, all right? Which also means that I exchange time for money. That's right. So every day I go to the college, I give them my time, energy, effort, and skills, and in return, I get a paycheck. Similar to you, if in fact you are a teacher, you're a police officer, you have any number of jobs, okay? Now, most people who are employees, they are looking for security. That's right. Most people want a job that provides them, number one, with regular pay, and they probably want some benefits in the form of insurance, vacations, etc., etc., etc. All right. Now, remember, we're exchanging time for money. So we unfortunately are working very hard to earn what I like to call active income. Now, some people will also term this as earned income. So whether you want to use the words active income or earned income, it's basically the same thing. And also, you are in this quadrant whether you are full-time or part-time. That's right. So whether you have a full-time job or whether you have a part-time job, or maybe you have a full-time and a part-time job, or maybe you have two part-time jobs. I don't know. Whatever the case is, you are still in the E quadrant, and technically you are still exchanging your time, energy, effort, and skills for money, i.e. a paycheck. So there you have it, guys. That is the E quadrant explained. All right, so for all of my fellow employees, okay, for all of us who reside in the E quadrant, let's now talk about the advantages as well as the disadvantages of being an employee. Number one, first, talking about the advantages. Number one, we receive a regular paycheck. So chances are you get paid bi-weekly, just like Coach D, right? You get a check twice a month. Now, chances are, whether you're full-time or part-time, your employer is probably going to offer you some type of retirement plan. So you may have a 401k or a 403b, something like that. You may also get vacations. You may also get insurance in the form of health insurance, okay? You may also receive maternal and or paternal leave. And fortunately for us, we don't have to do our own taxes. Why? Because taxes are automatically deducted from each and every paycheck. Okay, so those are all the nice advantages. Now let's talk about the disadvantages. Now, a while ago, someone told me that having a job, okay, means just over broke. In other words, most employees are not financially stable, meaning they work paycheck to paycheck. So if at any point you happen to lose your job, then guess what? You are now broke. Also, another disadvantage is that it is high risk being an employee. Now, why do they say it's high risk? Well, because you only have one person to report to, and that ultimately is your boss. So guess what? If your boss doesn't like your performance, if your boss doesn't like your attitude, then yes, they can terminate your services at their leisure. All right. Also, another huge disadvantage of being an employee is that we are most likely to end up poor. That's right, guys. We are in the poorhouse. Now, the reason is because three reasons. Number one, we pay very high taxes. All right. Number two, we have lots of debt, meaning student loan debt, credit card debt, commercial debt, probably medical debt, right? And also inflation. Now, when we talk about inflation, basically, this refers to the prices of goods and services escalating faster than we can get a pay raise. That's right. And last but not least, one of the major disadvantages of being an employee is that we are caught in an emotional tornado. That's right, guys. Oftentimes, employees are caught between the emotions of fear and the emotion of desire, okay? Which unfortunately creates what many people call the rat race, all right? So there you have it, guys. Most of us are employees, so there are advantages as well as disadvantages. Now that we know the advantages and the disadvantages, and we've also isolated the problem, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to focus on wealth, i.e. solutions. So right now, Coach D is going to provide you with a few solutions that can help convert you being an employee into someone who is very, very wealthy. Okay, so solution number one is keep your job. That's right, guys. Even though I just gave you all the disadvantages of being an employee, believe it or not, it's a good thing. That's right. So solution number one is keep your job. But here's the thing that I want you to think about, something to ponder, is that we need to start viewing our income as a means to an end. So let me ask you a question. Do you plan to work for your current employer for the rest of your life? Chances are the answer is no. So in other words, you need to create an exit strategy, right? Very important. So Coach D is going to help you out. Now, some of you may be wondering, well, Coach D, what do you mean by an exit strategy? I never heard of that before. That's okay, 23% Nation. Check it out. One of our 3-word mantras that we're going to adopt, we already have one. Eat more plants. Now here's another one. Save to invest. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Save to invest. Very important. Now we've talked about opening an active capital fund as well as a passive capital fund. Let's quickly remember that the active capital fund is going to be seed money for us to open up our own business. Passive capital fund is going to be money that we save up in order to begin investing in real estate. All right. And some of you may be wondering, all right, Coach D, so I've already opened up my active capital fund as well as my passive capital fund, but how much money per paycheck or per month should I be depositing in these accounts? Now, the golden rule is always 10%. However, Mr. Robert Kiyosaki says as much as 30%. So guys, there you have it. So I'm going to give you a range. No less than 10%, no more than 30%. So if you want to go with any number in between 10% and 30%, be my guest. But what's important is that we now keep our jobs and we view our income as a vehicle to investment. That's right. So in other words, these investments are going to ultimately become our exit strategy. Moving on, solution number 2, start your own business. Very, very important, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I know that the people who are listening to my words have probably thought about some idea that can make them millions, if not billions of dollars, right? So today, I want to encourage you to start your own business. Now, it could be a brick and mortar business. It can be an online business. It doesn't matter. Let's just go ahead and get ourselves started. In other words, we want to slowly move from the E quadrant into perhaps the B quadrant. So here are a few things that you need to understand about opening your own business, or shall we say starting your own business. Number 1, when you start your own business, you begin to manage other people's time and energy. In other words, you now become the employer. Also, this is a really cool thing about starting your own business, is that you own a system and people work for you. Guys, I can't stress it enough, but running a successful business is all about implementing systems that actually work for you. Next up, you'll end up paying less taxes. And to make sure that happens, you definitely want to consult either a financial advisor, financial consultant, or perhaps a tax attorney. Another great thing about starting or maintaining your own business is that you as the owner, you don't always have to be present so that the business runs efficiently. Now, I'm not saying never go to work, never show up and communicate with your employees, but it's not always important that you're there every single day of the week. All right. So in order for you to not be there, it's very important that you implement a great team. That's right. A team that can function whether you are there or not. And something else that we need to consider is that a business can definitely become an asset. Now, what is an asset? As I've stated 100 times before, guys, an asset is anything that puts money in your pocket, whether you work or not. And last but not least, probably one of the best things about owning and managing and running your own business is that you are now open to unlimited income. That's right, guys, unlimited income. So now you wonder how people become millionaires, how people become billionaires. Well, there you have it. Chances are they own their own business, if not more than one business. Therefore, their income level is not limited, it's unlimited. Solution number 3, okay? Start your own business, but do it now. Do it today, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very important. So solution number 3 is start your own business now. All right. Now, for those of us who are very, very motivated to do this, Coach D wants to help you out just a little more. Number 1, you gotta create a name for your business. KISS. Does it mean keep it simple, stupid, right? Because here we don't want to call anyone stupid. Instead, KISS is an acronym meaning keep it short and simple. That's right. So however you're going to name your business, make sure that people can identify the product and or service immediately. And even if you want to come up with an esoteric name, such as the 23% challenge, give it some type of tagline, such as a 7-day wellness program, right? Sounds good to me. Also, you need to know what you're going to sell. Are you going to sell a product or are you going to sell a service? Okay, be clear about whatever it is you want to sell. Next up, you need to find out what is your competitive advantage. That's right. Because trust me, whatever you decide to sell, whether it's a product or service, you will have competition. So when we talk about your competitive advantage, really what we're talking about is how can you get one leg up on the competition? So right now, I want to talk to you very briefly about how you can develop that competitive edge. Number 1, is it going to be your sales process? Is it streamlined, or do people have to go through obstacles and jump through hoops in order to purchase your product? Number 2 is your marketing. How do you plan to spread the word about your product and or service? Number 3, customer service. Do you plan to be nice to your customers or rude? Okay, I'll leave that up to you. But trust me, you can attract more bees with honey than you can with vinegar. So in other words, be nice to your customers. And last but not least, when we talk about manufacturing/production, that's another way for you to get a leg up on the competition, right? Talk to your manufacturer. Talk to the person that's producing your product and see if in fact you can get your costs lowered. Remember this, the lower your costs, the greater your margins. Okay? And another aspect of starting your own business is your target market. In other words, who is your ideal customer? Now, in order to figure this out, there are 4 criteria that you may want to check off. Number 1, what is the sex of your ideal customer? Is it a man? Is it a woman? Or is it both men and women? Next up is age. In other words, what age group or category do you want to cater to? Do you want to cater to infants? Do you want to cater to toddlers, teenagers, young adults, older adults, the elderly? Exactly who is going to purchase your product and or service? How old are they? Next up, consider ethnicity/race. Okay, so listen up. If you're from Latin America, you may want to cater only to people who are from Latin America or maybe people who only speak Spanish. If, however, you are African American, you may only want to cater to people who are also African American. And that goes for Asians and Europeans and people that are from the continent of Africa. Okay? Figure out who is going to purchase your product. All right? You may just be absolutely fine with catering to people who look just like you. There's nothing wrong with that. And you can quote me because why? Coach D said it. And last but not least, you also want to take your customer's income level into consideration. So think about it this way. If you're selling a luxury, high price, high ticket item, then you probably won't appeal to people who only make $20,000 to $30,000 a year. And vice versa. If you have a very cheap product, then you probably want to cater to people who don't make a lot of money, such as teenagers and or college students. All right, so there you have it, guys. Solution number 3 is start your own business. And always remember, when you're starting your own business, take these 4 criteria into consideration. Number 1 is name. Number 2 is what are you going to sell? Number 3, what's going to be your competitive advantage? And number 4, who is your ideal customer, or we can use the terms target market. Solution number 4, I love it, is become an investor. Remember, guys, we're talking about how to become wealthy. So, in order to create wealth, you have to invest. That's right. Remember earlier I said, don't quit your job? That's right. You don't want to quit your job because we don't want money to stop flowing in. Okay? So when you become an investor, guys, rather than you work hard for your money, now your money is going to work hard for you. Also, you'll pay less in taxes. You don't necessarily need a job once your investments start to make a whole lot of money in the form of passive income. So at this point, I just want to make a distinction between active income versus passive income. Let's quickly review. Active income, or we can say earned income, is money that comes in from your hard labor, all right? Meaning you go to work, you get a paycheck. However, when we talk about passive income is the money that comes into your pocket regardless of you working or not. You see how that works out? So passive income is primarily going to come from your investments. So whether you own your own business or whether you have, let's say, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, or maybe you have rental properties, all right? So once again, become an investor. Let's make our money work hard for us. Let's no longer work hard for money. Solution number 5 is to become an investor now. That's right, guys. Let's do it right now. All right. Now, according to Mr. Robert Kiyosaki, there are basically 4 asset classes that we can begin to invest in. Number 1 is real estate. Number 2 is a business. Number 3 are paper assets such as stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and CDs, which basically stands for certificate of deposits. And last but not least would be commodities such as oil, natural gas, precious metals, as well as precious stones. So there you have it, guys. Pick your investment avenue and go full throttle. Question of the day, and question of the day once again. How long do you plan to reside in the E Quadrant? So there you have it, 23% nation. We have inquiring minds, and I want to know, how long do you plan to reside in the E Quadrant? Ladies and gentlemen, this is your man, Coach D. I want to thank you for watching. I definitely want to thank you for listening. As always, let's eat well, feel well, think well, do well, be well. This is your man, Coach D. I'm signing out. This is reason number 3. of our 10 reasons why you are not wealthy yet. Take care, God bless, and definitely stay tuned for reason number 4.